Today I'm going to be changing out the coolant overflow reservoir on my MK6 TDI Golf. It's just weathered and aged, so I'm going to replace it. There's nothing wrong with it besides the aesthetics. However, I don't want to wait until a problem develops before I replace it. Alright, so I'll be linking these in the description. They're just clamps for coolant hoses so that you can put them on and then not lose as much coolant as you would otherwise, and they're safe for coolant lines. They're not going to cause them to crack or anything like that. So I'm going to put that one on there, and I'll look at the other one in a moment when we get that one off. Alright, so using a pair of needle nose pliers, or if you have proper clamp pliers, grab this and send it upwards, and then slide the whole line off of the old coolant reservoir. For the next step, we're going to take the sensor connection, push it in, pull the tab back, and pull the whole thing away. Then we are going to take off the 10mm that holds on the washer fluid cap snout so we can get access to the clamp for the bottom hose. So this whole thing is kind of flexible from this point, but just be careful not to break it because it is still plastic. So as I mentioned, I do have another one of these clamps for this lower hose. So we are expecting to lose more fluid from this line than that top one. However, it won't be too much, and we're still going to do just a quick little bleeding of the system. From here, we are going to pull this corrugated hose up and away so that we can get to the two screws that are at the back of the coolant reservoir. They're both T25s. We've got one there and one there. This then gives us a little bit of play so we can position the coolant bubble in a way that it's nice and easy to get that bottom hose. So I'm going to take my long needle nose, I'm going to grab this, got it, and then send it down the line a bit, leave it there. Okay, so to explain this real quick, while I could take the coolant bubble out right now, I don't want to get coolant all along the side of the engine bay. So instead of doing that, I've got a fluid transfer pump here, and I've got an empty water jug. Use this transfer pump to pull the coolant out of the bubble. All right, from this point, we can go ahead and remove the hose from the bottom. Just pulling it away, nice and easy. You can pull the bubble up and around the weather stripping. Still gonna lose a little bit of coolant, but trying to lose a minimal amount. All right, got the new coolant bubble here. This is a Mahle male unit, but basically what we're gonna do, swing it in. We're gonna try to get this nipple at the bottom in line with the hose. Put your hand back around here in order to get a good grasp on this hose. I can tell you now, it is much easier to get that lined up from the back side behind the auxiliary port. There we go, so that's snugged up. And then all I have to do is get my needle nose pliers and bring the clamp up into position. So we once again cinch down on these two ears, bring it over the wide point on there so it makes a good seal. And get this better lined up so it's straighter. There we go. Further up, straighter, good solid connection there. All right, now we can relieve this clamp from its duty. All right, now back at the top, we're gonna get the two screws put back in their place. And I would recommend that you get both of these started before you tighten down either one all the way, just so that you're sure that it's lined up properly. All right, now we can put our corrugated tubing back in place, plug our sensor back in. I'm going to undo this clamp for this top hose, place it in position, grab my pliers. Now I have to move the hose up a little bit with this, but that's easy enough. Get nice and close to the bubble. Before we fill this up, I'm gonna put this
windshield washer fluid cap back on there. So line it up, push it in, and then we will put the bolt back in place. So after I fill this up, I'm going to go ahead and start the car and let it run for a while, basically up until it gets up to temp.
So now what I'm going to do is run the car for a few minutes with the heat and blower on max. And what that's going to do is circulate the coolant through the whole system, including through the heater core, and ensure that if there are any air pockets in the system that were created because we've just done this service, that they're put up back to the bubble, and then I'll see that in the bubble as extra space and I can add coolant as needed. That's also going to allow us to check the work and verify that there aren't any leaks. Any of the specialty tools that I've used I will link below, but otherwise I hope this was helpful.